Okay, I got to figure out where to start this because you've been doing this a long time.
That's true.
Yeah, and I love that so much because so the Book of Ruth, that was the first one,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And then Map of the World,
Yes.
and then one that a lot of people I hadn't even heard of.
The short history of a
And I had to write down the excellent Lombards.
That's my most recent one, which was 2016.
Okay, I guess we could talk about how I hadn't heard of that.
I don't know. There's a lot to read out there. And and sometimes I think, I'm not sure if this is true, but I feel like, debut novels, they bubble up to the top and get a lot of attention. And then
Yeah.
as the career goes on, unless you're Stephen King or, you might not have the kind of attention that you had initially, which I've just been grateful to be able to continue to do the work all these years. And so to me, anything else that happens, I mean, I know that sounds sort of Pollyanna-ish, but anything else that
Hey,
happens is gravy.
if there were ever a time to be Pollyanna-ish, it's now. And what I love about this, Jane, is I talked to a couple weeks ago Melissa De La Cruz, who's on novel 80. But as I talked to her and I asked her, a lot of people have this perception that once you're in the machine,
Yeah.
you're good to go. And she
Yes.
was so transparent and honest, which I guess is one and the same, about the fact that no, that's actually not really how it works. Each book is its own unique project and requires its own to get its own traction. And I think with you, the assumption might be, okay, two-time Oprah pick. I mean, I remember the fanfare about the Book of Ruth. And Elizabeth Gilbert, right, with Eat, Pray, Love, and then she does another one, but then she's got this whole backlist. I think it's an interesting point and perspective that just because a couple books do well, there might be a book, to your point. There's a lot of books out there.
Also, in my experience, and I don't know how it was for your guest, but I've written a lot of failures that my people have said, we're not going to let you publish this. And people complain about the gatekeepers in New York and all of that, but I'm grateful. I mean, my editor and agent at the time have saved me from myself, and I just am so grateful that they just said, "No, you may not." And
See,
so, and which is really difficult, and yet there's sort of a balance. I mean, it's a different world now, and I feel like in the last couple of years when I've handed in things, the powers that be might say, "We like this, but really we're interested in that. And, could you do more of that rather than this?" And I think, "But the book is this."
right.
So anyway, it's hard to just be clear-headed sometimes, but like the Phoebe Variations, I wrote a million. Well, no, I wrote probably 7 actually sort of distinct novels before I got to, I mean, there was always the central initiating problem, but I had all kinds of crazy plots, and at a certain point, my then agent said, "Jane," and this is totally fair on her part, totally fair, because I think she had read it so many times, like 10 or 12. She said, "I will not read this book again." Okay.
Meaning like change it drastically or
No, it's
just
over. It's over.
of the Phoebe
I'm
variations?
never gonna read another version of this ever, is what she said. And, I thought at that point, if I can't make this book work about a girl who goes and hides in a basement with 12 boys overhead and the crazy mommies, then I need to retire. But it was just, for me, it was a matter of actually narrowing the focus and
Okay.
just concentrating on that house and that family and those girls' relationship. I had sort of,
Yeah.
at the beginning it was about gender stuff, and I just had to put like Spanx on it.
Fantastic. I had to put Spanx on it. Okay.
I did. So, and all that to say that my then agent was, she was so generous with me and read so many versions, and
Yeah.
she just couldn't anymore. And I understand that.
So did you take what is now the Phoebe variations to another agent entirely?
I mean, I rewrote it. I worked on it. I worked, and then there came a time to find another agent, and I've was very fortunate in finding somebody who just was like, "Yes."
Is it wrong that as I continue to talk to more and more authors, I really enjoy, not because I enjoy people's pain, because I don't at all. I enjoy it doesn't sound good if I don't phrase it correctly, but I so enjoy hearing people like yourself who have written just some truly brilliant pieces of work say, "Yeah, there were a lot that never made it out of the gate." I think it's such a huge misconception in this world.
It is interesting. I mean, I have boxes and boxes of the drafts that didn't work out, and it's very painful to look at them. I thought, "Oh, I should go back and see what's there because I actually don't remember all the iterations, and,
Okay.
I open up the boxes, and I have to say there's some good writing in those pages, and, some people say, "Oh, nothing is ever wasted. Nothing
Right.
you can always not."
I'm one of those people.
Well, for me, I when I'm writing something that I am pretty sure isn't gonna work out, I just have to make it the best failure I can, and in doing so, I get to the next place, and it's very, very inefficient. I should just be able to do this mentally, but I just have to type and then things fall into it. But really, I have kinda made a rule for myself now that I'm not gonna look in those boxes because it's painful.
Is
All
it?
of that work that didn't work
Well,
out.
when I say no writing is wasted, I don't mean that you should be able to usurp it later and use every line somewhere. I just
Mhm.
mean that the the writing of it is what ultimately got you to whatever
Yes,
you ended up writing.
exactly, exactly. That's what I
Mhm.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm at about, I think, chapter 6 of the Phoebe Variations, and I when a book grabs me from I have a it's a very bad habit. It's a great habit, but it's turned out to be terrible, and here's why. So when I know I'm gonna when I know I'm having someone on the show, I am not a fast reader. I'm not Zibby. Zibby posted the other day to her Instagram that she has 5 interviews today, Jane, and all 5 books where she's like, "This is what it was yesterday." She's like, "This is what I'm doing today, reading all 5." I know she has a process. I know she's not absorbing every word, but still, the idea, it makes me feel so incompetent. Like, I can't get this done. But I'm not a fast reader. It's just, I'm not. Lots of times when people book and they're coming on, like it was like 9 days from the time that we did all this. So I get the book and I know I can't get through it all. So
Mhm,
I say, I'm going to just read the first chapter. So I have a sense of it.
mhm.
And then 9.5 times out of 10, I can't stop. So now I am fully immersed in Luna, Phoebe, Greta, all the people. And my question is, can you talk to us about chapter 1? Like the process of chapter 1, not necessarily the specific chapter 1 of this book, but was this always the chapter 1?
This was always the chapter 1, I would say,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
the in that chapter 1, the adoptive mother of Phoebe says, we're gonna take a trip and you're gonna meet your birth family." And
Right.
Phoebe's like, "Why?
I
I don't wanna." So that was always the beginning, and also the thing that happens when they do visit the birth family was always there,
I'm
so.
not there yet. Don't spoil anything.
Oh, I think you are.
We're arriving. They're driving, and
Okay,
Luna's in the
okay.
front seat
Oh,
with
okay,
Greta. Uh-huh.
okay, okay, I lost track of the but, yes, yes, so that inciting incident was always there, so, I mean, what wasn't there, I don't know, at one point, well, I won't bore you with all the
No, I
versions,
love this part of it.
but at one point, let's see if I can even remember, uh, I think is it Phoebe or Luna? I guess it's Luna, who wasn't called that at that point, is dying, and she comes back to Chicago, and Phoebe takes care of her, and then they reflect upon the past.
Wait, does that happen? Because
No,
oh,
no,
okay.
no, no, no,
Wait,
no,
stop
no,
talking. Okay,
no,
stop,
no.
stop.
There's no universe in this real world order in which that happens.
But in
But
that version of it, was Phoebe adopted? Had Phoebe
yeah,
been
the
adopted?
whole beginning is the same. But
Okay.
then, and then there was another version where Phoebe was the assistant to a comedy duo, very like Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira, and she lived with them, and she had an affair with their teenage son. I mean, it just but here's
But
the
okay, so I see this is really taking a stretch here of liberties, but I see myself in you because or I see you in me or something because I'm working on my first novel now, which I've not made a secret of, and it's a nightmare, Jane. It's a nightmare. You're the first person who's ever said kind of what I feel like is going on with my brain, where there are like 97 stories, 97 possibilities. I've got this main character, and but everything you just said without turning the spotlight here on me. How do you ultimately, like, decide on one to at least take to the next step?
well, Elizabeth, it can take a long time, you know, but here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's what I know to be absolutely true.
Mhm.
That I've just told you that all these versions, many, many versions had the same beginning. And when you get through the end of perhaps the first thing that doesn't work, and yeah, every book is different. Some of them just come out as if on a, one breath, but some of them
Right.
don't. It's so important to just open all your follicles and look at the work, because what you have set in place in the beginning is everything is there in the beginning, and if you see it and you can follow through on that, then you will have an easier time. And maybe that doesn't make sense, but really, you have to really listen to what the work is telling you. And you cannot know what you've made until you've made it.
I know. Mhm.
So, and at one point my then agent said, you've got to figure out how to do this thing. It's just it's so inefficient. I'm like, it's not pipe fitting, it's just not. And so to me, in this book, there's a house where Phoebe goes to stay, and it's a very it's an enormous house with many, many children. And I myself experienced a house like that when I was a teenager. And it was interesting because recent and I just was kind of obsessed by that house. And really my focus had to be on that house. I realized this everything that happens, I think when I first wrote it, everything that happened in the house took place in like over 3 months. No, let's make it a week,
Mhm.
and just so,
Put Spanx on it.
yeah, put Spanx on it. So, but recently I went to the funeral of a friend's mother in Oak Park, Illinois, where I grew up. And, the mommy was 97 or something like that. And so all the high school friends were gathered, and we were sitting in a bar for, hours the night before the funeral. And everybody kept talking about that house. And I realized I am not alone in
Okay.
having been obsessed by this house, and all of the crazy things that went on there. So, that sort of made me happy, just like, "Oh, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to write a novel, but sometimes it's celebrating a time and a place."
Yeah. And I'm often surprised by what about a book, whether nonfiction or fiction, resonates with an audience. One of the first things to resonate with me about the Phoebe Variations is my youngest daughter was adopted and she's now 17. So I thought,
Wait,
well,
you're not old enough. I'm sorry.
oh, I love you. I
That's
am.
against nature.
You just need to get up close. Like I need to take these. I've got a Sharpay situation going on around my eyes, but you're so kind. Thank you. Yeah, and so I thought this is so interesting because it's something that, as an adoptive mother, I have wrestled. Hers was an international adoption; it wasn't domestic, but I've wrestled with that, in the sense of, you know, wondering what's I hear some of my thoughts in Greta's thoughts, and for whatever that's worth, and somebody else who has a different situation might see Greta as perhaps overbearing or
Mhm,
inserting herself in a way that
mhm,
isn't appropriate. I don't know. I'm making all that up.
mhm.
That was the one of the first things that I thought this because I saw it as a way to navigate or not navigate, but kind of experience my own thoughts and my own feel so I'm really
That's
intrigued
int
to
Well, I have a friend who also has adopted children, and Well, I don't when Phoebe does meet her birth mother, she has what my friend thought was an unusual reaction.
Okay. I'm excited. And I don't not to go off on a tangent, but I don't it's almost like I'd wanna have a conversation with Greta and say, "What was your expectation?" Right? And that this is where I think that fiction can be so as healing and as growth helpful with someone's growth as a self-help book.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just makes you think a little bit, like, "How would I handle that?" Or, "Oh, I'm having a reaction to that. Why am I having a reaction to that?" Did it ever occur to you or did it ever make you think or wonder when your then agent said, "I cannot read this again." Was there a part of you that just thought, "You don't okay, you don't get it." Like, I did you wrestle with that at all? Or did you trust that person so much that I would think that would be a hard I'm thinking of myself, that would be a hard call to make, maybe?
It was complicated because I did trust her, and she had, been my agent forever and really helped me through some very difficult things, both contractually and just, editorially. But I also knew there is a book here. I know
Yeah.
there's a book here, and why can't I get at it? I don't know why I cannot get at it. But I also know that it took a really long time for the character of Luna, the friend of Phoebe, to come into focus. And I think part of the problem in those early versions were that she was not in focus. And I think now, I mean, this might sound like a stretch, but I think I also was interested in the way power dynamics work between people and also a leader and his countrymen, and how when you have a dynamic where one person is so powerful, how do you forge yourself? How do can sort of escape the person, or you can pretend that your subservience is absolutely fine and it's all good for you. You can resist in whatever way. So even though this is a story about 2 girls, I really was thinking about, how do you resist? And I would not say that Phoebe in the end resists appropriately. I think there's room for discussion about, how you deal with a friendship where it's very unbalanced.
It's interesting for me to hear you say that Luna didn't really come into focus in the beginning because I feel I can see this whole thing on a screen. I can see Luna, and it's not just because you describe her, it's because she is so in focus from the jump. So, what was your process or what is your process for getting to know a character better who doesn't feel in focus initially?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it takes time
Yeah.
to understand the character and try to achieve as much psychological depth as you can. But
Mm.
I think I often think about Flannery O'Connor's line that the purpose of fiction is to probe the mystery of personality. And I really love that, the mystery of personality. And so that, in a way, even though it doesn't answer any questions, it's kind of my guiding light. That's what I'm here to explore. And I think it just took time, and just took a lot of time. And
So how
I'm
long
sure.
did it take?
Well, I started working on it. I started thinking about it in 2013, and I worked on it on and off again until, well, tomorrow I'll get the third pass and we'll read it for the last time, and it'll be copy. I mean, it'll be typeset it'll be
Yeah,
it'll be what it is.
it'll be
And
what it is.
if I if I don't get the commas in the right place, the whole thing will be ruined. At this stage in the process, it really does feel like,
Yeah.
every little dash is so critical that someone reading it would say, there should not be a comma there, and I just refuse to continue reading this book."
It's very funny that you would say that because I am that person, admittedly. So I'm an editor, my mom's an editor, and so when you when we get arcs, like
Mhm.
here, I was so excited because the arc that I got of the Phoebe variation, this was before
Oh,
you even had a cover.
oh my gosh,
This is
and also it's so uncorrected. It's
well,
not even copy edited. It's
I
not
know, I know.
nothing.
I absolutely know that, and whenever I get I mean, most of the books that I get for this show are arcs, and so I know that. I
Mhm.
mean, as an author, like, I know what my uncorrected proofs look like, and it's just you wanna call people and go, "Page 86, I swear there's supposed to be a semicolon between these 2 words." So I read it knowing that, and yet I can't turn off that part of my brain
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes me wanna,
yeah,
message the author and go,
I know.
I think there's a period missing.
Yeah, I know, I'm so embarrassed that you're reading that version. It
But that's
just
what you have to do.
I know,
I
and it's I also think that most people just read, and like in the next iteration of the arc, there's which was no, it's not copy edited yet, but still there's a paragraph missing. And it's like you're
oh,
here and then all of a sudden you're here and that makes me crazy. It's not that I keep saying to people, it's not the real book.
but
But I don't care, just give me one. Like, well, A, I don't have them, and B, no.
right. It's in a couple different ways, though, I love it, and with the one I just said, but the other is that I've one thing I've long thought would be great is can we just see the first draft? Like, in just could authors who write these incredible books just could you just put out the first draft so that we could all see that everyone starts in a really not good place?
Yeah.
We
Well,
all forget when we read the final that it's gone through 732.6 rounds of developmental line, copy, proof, all of it.
mhm.
And I think that would be so reassuring.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you do have to be willing to write badly if you're going to set words to paper. But I have to say that with the Phoebe variations, and as you said, I've been at this for a while. The best editor I've ever had, and she just absorbed the entire book. It's like in her head.
Can you say who
Uh,
it is? Are you
Corey Hunter,
okay?
yeah, and she came up through Doubleday, and anyway, she has just been she's been amazing, really. So I'm very grateful to her, and I sort of feel like I handed in a pretty clean copy, but she would say, there's a sentence on page 82, which I just think if you took out half of it, it was like this. We weren't even looking at the manuscript. She said, I just think it would maybe be sharper. I don't know. I was completely impressed. And
And
I don't know what your experience is, but, I've taught writing classes and it's always really interesting. And maybe Corey has many novels in her. I don't know. We haven't ever talked about that if she has that wish, but it's always interesting to me almost more than seeing the natural writers in a class,
Mhm.
like the people who are the editors. And it's a separate skill and some people have both, but when you see it and I actually don't have it, and so when I have students who are that, you just like, "Say more. Keep talking." So anyway.
Well, someone said something to me recently, and I hadn't thought about it this way. She said, "I wonder if you're because I've written nonfiction. This is just my first novel that I'm working on, and I've sort of been working on it for about 24 years. But anyway, she said, I wonder if you struggle with it because as an editor as well, you don't know which hat you have on, and I
Uh-huh.
think that is true.
Yes, I can see that.
It's like you
That would be really
forget
hard.
that it's like I'm trying to edit it and write it at the same time, and it it's not an easy thing to do.
No, no,
Um,
no. I would say it's probably almost impossible because you have to
don't
really
say that.
well, no, no, you have to somehow exercise
Separate.
the editor part of you while you're writing
Yes.
in that
Yes, and
first
then
draft.
find someone who I love the editing partnership process.
I do
Think
too.
do
I do
you?
too. Yeah, I really do.
Do you feel like you're especially with this one, Corey saw things that developmentally that you didn't
Absolutely. Yes. And also, I think it's interesting when people tell you what your book is about because it's not always what I would have said or what I would have
Mm.
seen in it. What did Corey said? She said it was It was a feminist what's the word? Well, I'll get back to you on that. I don't even know what that word means, I'll have to go look it up. Anyway, so it's sort of funny.
Is it one of
Well, but it's
I
interesting, it's really
highlighted
interesting.
that I'm like, "What is this?" I had to go I gotta find it because I had to go keep talking, but I had to go look it up in the dictionary, and I thought, "Okay, this is a beautiful moment." I don't even know
Well,
if I'll be able to I should have highlighted it, but anyway, are you an everyday writer?
am I an everyday writer? Well, ideally, yes, but,
Okay.
you know, life does intrude, which is sometimes good, but, yes, I mean, when I had little children, I didn't really have a daycare situation, and my kids went to the neighbor every other afternoon for 2 hours. And so every other day felt like a weekend. I think now I should have just had an hour every day because
Yeah.
just finding my thread. But here's the thing about those days. This was before email. So you just
Yeah.
sat down and got to work. It wasn't like, oh, let me just check, for now 5 hours. So we were free in a certain way. So that was good. Yeah, I think when you're in the middle of the project, if you really can do even just a bit every day so you don't lose your thread.
Yeah, are you d can you do it in 7-minute bursts if you have to?
That's not
Is
ideal.
Do
I
you get
mean,
ideas in 7-minute bursts? Like, are you someone who could be driving down the road and all of a sudden you think
sure, absolutely.
it never comes at a convenient time, but
In fact, with Corey the other day, we were going through the second pass, and there was just a line that she thought needed 2 commas, and I, of course, said yes. And I said, I don't wanna clutter up with commas, And she said, "Okay, that's fine." And then I was driving to the grocery store afterwards, I thought, "Of course there has to be commas." I, of course, said and so I pulled over, I called her up, and I said, "We have to have those commas."
Corey and I would get along famously because I feel like there's 2 ways to say that. I, of course, would say yes, and I, of course, would say yes. Is it what if there's commas, it changes the way but there are millions of people, Jane, who would say, "Elizabeth, it reads the same both ways."
It actually really does
Years.
not.
And I'm like, "No, it doesn't."
No, it doesn't, it doesn't, and, this is I'm an elderly person, but I this whole new craze of not using, quotation marks for dialogue, which sometimes I really in a novels, sometimes I really understand and it works, but I read a novel recently and there were no quotation marks, and you honestly could not tell who was talking when, and
Are they
these
even in italics?
no, no, no. And I think that punctuation was created for a reason, and
Yeah.
we happen to really believe in the virtue of clarity. So anyway,
Mhm.
I yeah.
Well, what's challenging now is people are, and myself included, are putting text conversations in their
Mhm.
books. So
Yeah.
how do we delineate the text conversation from a so I put texts in italics and I double indent. I mean, it's just the whole thing. It's like, we're seeing all kinds of liberties are being taken.
Yeah, but that seems a little different than because that's its own form, you know,
Agree.
you it,
Agreed.
but
Agreed.
I
I
don't know.
need quotate I don't think at my stage of life, I can read a book without quotation marks and know I really do need that marker of someone's talking now. If
Mhm.
I have to suss that out, as the kids say, for myself,
Yeah, yeah.
we're done.
Anyway, it's just
Yeah.
everything is changing all the time and always has done.
No kidding. What do you enjoy doing for book promotion? I mean, having been doing this since the days when we didn't have Instagram and we didn't have Facebook, which is when I started too, and I enjoy social media for what it's good for, and it's also incredibly distracting and overwhelming, and all the shoulds come into play whenever we're talking about social media. So, how do you go about promotion in a way that feels good to you?
Well, I used to love the old days. You'd pull into a town. I mean, really, this is gonna date me so much. Some someplace like Omaha, and you'd have an appointment with the fiction guy at the Omaha Herald, and you'd go meet him in a smoky bar, and he'd be having afternoon whiskey sour or whatever, and you smoking cigarettes, and you just talk about books endlessly, and that was that, and
Mhm.
then you go to your event and you'd read from your novel for half an hour.
And actual people showed up,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that
right.
was fun, that was fun,
Mhm.
and, so, anyway, those were the old days, I really enjoyed that, and I had small children then, so it was such a lark to
Get out.
get out. But what is and I sort of said this before about editors, but it's really fascinating to meet readers and to sometimes people say the most articulate, amazing, really mind-blowing things about the book that I hadn't thought of, and I really appreciate that. That's a remarkable experience. So, yeah. So,
And
but,
are you doing go ahead.
no, people say, "Oh, it must be so hard to be on the road." I'm like, well, to be on the road and to meet people, most of whom say, "I love your book. I love
Nice
you."
things.
How hard is that? Not really all that hard. To me, the hardest thing to react to is when people say, "I read your book." Thank you. I'm sorry. What? What? Why would you say that if you didn't I truly don't understand
Like,
that.
that's not a full sentence if we're talking about editoring, oh my god. Editing, it's not there's it's a predicate. So are
Anyway,
you doing a lot of in-person events with the Phoebe Variations?
yes, in the fall when it comes
Yeah.
out.
I don't suppose you're coming to Phoenix.
I'm going to Tucson
You
in
are?
March. I'm going to the book festival.
Oh, the book festival, of course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but, no, I'm not going. I've never
Okay.
been to Phoenix, to tell you the truth.
Really? Well, don't come now. I went out to water the plants this morning and they were all screaming. You're not on social media.
Well, I do have an Instagram account. I do have a Facebook page, Elizabeth. I do. I rarely look at it, but I do. I'm signed up.
Okay. I tried to find you.
Oh, I'm on.
Not on Facebook. I tried to find you on Instagram because that's where I spend. Facebook just makes me sad. I spend a lot of my time on the majority of my time on Instagram.
I think I'm Jane Hamilton author or Jane Hamilton writer.
Okay.
One of
Well,
those.
I'll do
But
more research. But I
but
hear you're not posting 3 times a day.
no, I am not.
And you're not dancing on TikTok reels and I think
No.
that's so refreshing because I've always said if you catch me dancing on TikTok, it is a cry for help. Like someone that's my SOS. Like my
That
you say you need a code word with your friends, like that my friends know that's my code word.
okay.
Okay. Yeah. Have you just never really had the have you had
I've
people tell you you should be there?
yes, I
Okay.
have. Yes, I definitely have. I look at it to see pictures that my daughter posts, and
Mhm.
we're involved with a coffee shop in our town, and so I look to see what the wonderful owner of the business has been doing, and I look at it, but I'm not. I'm not that interesting. I don't have that much to share, and it feels very intrusive to me. I don't know.
I hear you. I don't know why anyone cares what anyone has for lunch. I don't know that anyone cares, what anyone has for lunch or it's such a strange I certainly remember when we didn't I mean, when I had my first child, I had to take a picture of her, print it at the drugstore, mail it to my parents.
Wow.
Now I could just FaceTime them. I mean, I'm not
Wow.
giving
Yeah.
birth ever again, but now I could just FaceTime them and they could watch the whole thing if they wanted. It's crazy how much we've evolved in just 25 years,
It is. It is.
but sometimes I miss well, a lot of times actually, I miss that slower kinda
I miss slow time so much, and I am as addicted to my phone as the next person.
Are
Really.
you?
Oh, yes.
Are you addicted to if not social media? Now I'm
I get news alerts from the news source of my that I prefer, and
okay. That's not
I
good right now.
do the Peloton app. I'm an obsessive workoutaholic. So, and I'm studying French, so I do Duolingo. And I mean, Elizabeth, let me tell you, there's a lot you can do on your
Listen, I know. I'm also on Duolingo. My mom speaks fluent French, so I've been trying for
She
years.
does?
She has a master's in French literature and
Wow.
yeah, and so I've asked her many times, just talk to me in French, and she does, and I'm like, forget it, never. So I was doing Duolingo for French also. I guess I quit that. I have some brain activity like Wordle and the
Of
crossword
course.
puzzle.
Of course.
Definitely our paths diverged at the Workoutaholic. I talked to Audrey Ingram a couple weeks ago, whose novel, And Then We Ran, is
Uh-huh.
just about to come out, and I thought it was about running. So I was like, I'm not gonna like this. But in fact, it's about running for political position, and I'm very into it. It's very
Mhm.
good because it's not about
Mhm.
running. Our paths diverged there, but that's okay.
What about yoga with Adriene? Adriene's yoga.
I don't know Adrian's yoga. I have about
Mhm.
17 yoga apps. I just never open them. See, I'm the person who thinks that if I have all the supplements on my counter, it's working. So I buy all the things, the lotions and the supplements and the yoga apps. I just don't do them.
Well, I think
Yoga with
that's a yeah, Adrienne, she kind of she started putting up her yoga little classes and 5 minutes to an hour
Oh,
and for free on YouTube because she wanted people to have access to yoga. And then
mhm.
it really took off, and especially during the pandemic,
Of course.
everybody signed up. So anyway, I love her aesthetic. There's no music. The background is very spare. She has a beautiful little or fairly large blue heeler dog named Benji, who's often in the frame, and she has a she's developed the yoga vocabulary so you can do any of the videos and you know where you are and what you're doing.
I'm going to check that out
I
and I'll put it in the show notes.
highly recommend it.
Okay. Because I've
Like
got to
I
start
don't know.
moving. Things are
I would start with she's got 7 videos called Rise, and it's just more first thing in the morning, and it's really good.
all right. Getting me to do anything before 10:30 is
Well,
gonna
you
be a
can do it.
challenge, Adrian. It's gonna be a challenge, but
You can do it at 10:45.
okay. All right. I'll keep you posted.
Okay, all right.
Okay, the last thing I ask everybody is, what are you reading now?
I just finished Playworld by Adam Ross, I believe is and Playworld, which I loved with all my heart. But I'm afraid to recommend things because my tastes are not. I
I'm
love.
not even asking you to recommend it. I'm just saying, what are you reading?
Yeah, I love that book. I love that book with all my heart. And I'm reading a book called Brian that Sigrid Nunez recommended a while ago in the New Yorker, and it's a very, very eccentric book. And I know what I just read. I just listened to Sunrise on the Reaping, the prequel to the Hunger Games by
Didn't know there was. Okay.
Suzanne Collins, and it's really it so speaks to this moment because it's about
Sleeping.
well, yeah, it's about, what happens when you're in an authoritarian world. Anyway, I actually listened to it, and the reader, who's some hot actor who was in Yellowstone, I think, read it so beautifully, and he made me fall in love with the hero. I mean, I just
Really?
loved the hero, and I think it was actually a very different experience than reading it would have been.
I hear that often about audio versus and
Mhm.
I sort of vacillate between them myself, but I'm more of a reader than an audiobook unless I'm driving or something. I
Mhm.
am so late to the Hunger Games thing. I just watched the Hunger Games last week for the very first time.
Oh, interesting.
Nobody can believe it. So I
Why did you?
because a friend of mine said this is a crime. You have to watch this. So
I've never seen Star Wars.
oh god, I won't tell. My best friend Erin is at Comic-Con right now, meeting with Anakin, I don't know, I'm gonna say it wrong. She's looking for Ewoks. Okay, that I've never read Star Wars either. Have you seen the movie?
Oh, no, I've
Oh,
never seen the movie. Yeah, I've never seen the movie.
oh, that's an interesting fact about you. You know, you have those little moments with share an interesting fact. That's one. I guess maybe I'll share Hunger Games. I don't know. It's all very of the times in some way. Like we may be going there, we may be in it. I don't know, but
Mhm,
good
mhm.
grief. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
It was such
you.
a
Good luck.
pleasure to
Good
meet you and to chat
It's a
with
pleasure
you.
to meet you, and, good luck on your novel. Just keep
I'll
at
let you know
it.
in 34 years. You know, it's
When
out.
you're 41. Okay. I'll,
Passed that a long time ago, Jane. Long time ago.